Welcome to week 11, Bible Studies for Life. We continue in our section on God's Word. Today we're going to talk about a passage out of the book of James, chapter 1, a great passage. Before we go into that, be sure that you like this video, subscribe to it. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, do that. Monday morning when they come out, you'll get a notification. Hit that little notification bell in your YouTube video and it'll help you get that notification. So subscribe to it, comment. You've got questions or thoughts, be sure and add those in. We appreciate that. Share it with others. We really appreciate it. We share it. All of that helps us grow. We've over 800. We're headed to 900 now, on our way to 1,000 subscribers. That's what we're hoping for. So anyway, let's look at James chapter 1. My dear brothers and sisters, understand this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For human anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. Therefore, ridding yourselves of all moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent, humbly receive the implanted word which is able to save your souls. Boy, here is the great passage, great word for us. Everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to anger. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. We always heard that, right? You've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Let me just put this this way, okay? For many of us, what happens in church needs to change. We hear things, but we don't listen, right? We're not quick to hear. We really come more to share, and we need to be slow to speak and quick to listen. Hear what others have to say. Not thinking about my answer, but listening to what's being taught and really hearing what's being taught. Okay, there's an old story about Socrates, who, the great Greek teacher who met this young man that wanted to be his student, and introduced himself to Socrates and then proceeded to talk for about 10 minutes straight. And Socrates told him when he was finally done and Socrates could get a word in, he said, look, I'll take you as a student, but I'm going to charge you twice as much. And he said, well, why are you going to charge me twice as much? He said, well, first I've got to teach you to be quiet. So then I can teach you to learn, right? So it's, this is a lesson that we need to know, right? Slow to speak. But I want to point out something else in here, and I think it's kind of interesting that he puts in this slow to anger right there. I think especially today, we really need to hear this, right? Because we are quick to hear the thing that riles us up, and then we just spend the rest of our time thinking about how we're going to respond to that, or how we need to give this person a piece of our mind, or straighten them out, or whatever it is, right? We need to be slow to anger, quick to listen, slow to anger, right? Slow to speak. And then this verse 20, that's right in the middle of this passage, boy, for human anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. You ever noticed that verse before? Man, my anger at somebody else is not going to bring them to righteousness. It's not going to bring them to God, and it's not going to help me be righteous either. We really need to think about how we respond to social media. We need to think about this, right? Therefore, he says, rid yourselves of moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent. Humbly receive the implanted word which is able to save your souls. We need to listen and hear the Lord, right? Hear what his word is. Take that in. The implanted word, this word that is being poured into us. We really need to listen to that. This rid yourselves. This is a aorist tense. It's a one time. Make a decision once for all. I'm done with that. Humbly receive the word. More than just hear it, take it in, receive it, right? Let it be implanted in ourselves. And humbly means you recognize that I know I need to change, that I don't have everything figured out, that I don't know everything, that there's something that somebody else can share with me that I desperately need. Humility means that I think your teaching, the teaching that I'm hearing from God's word, is more important than my current ideas about who I am and what I do, that I need to change. But it's not just changing what happens in church. We have to change what happens after church, because it's not enough to hear it. It's not enough to take it in and understand it. It's not enough to know there are things in my life that need to change. He says here, but be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Now listen, we'll go back here and say, he's very clear to say we need to listen to the word. We've got to hear it, but then to say, don't just hear it, do it, right? Because if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he's like someone looking at his own face in a mirror, for he looks at himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what kind of person he was. But the one who looks intently into the perfect law of freedom and perseveres in it, and is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer who works, this person will be blessed in what he does. You see, ultimately, it's not about what happens when you're in the Bible study, when you're in the worship service. It's what happens when you leave there. Don't just receive the word, be a doer. And this is a good thing when we talk about tenses of verbs that doesn't necessarily show up in English. This is a present tense. Continually be a doer of the word. Keep on being a doer of the word. We have to follow in the truth that we've learned, what we've heard, must now become a reality in our lives, right? It's like the difference between reading the menu and eating the meal. It's got to be lived out. It's got to be a part of who you are. And then look at what he says. This person that is a hearer and not a doer is like somebody who looks in the mirror, sees their hair's messed up, whatever, they're crazy, they've dirt all over their face, and then walks away and forgets what they saw. They don't make the changes that need to be made. They see it and they know this needs to be different, right? But when they walk away, they do it. They keep living their life the way they were. This is being a hearer and not a doer. We have to be doers of the word, and this is a self-deception for us when we think that we've done what we needed to do because we showed up and we were in the Bible study, right? We learned the things that we needed to learn, but we get self-deceived when we think that's enough. Be a doer of the word. Keep on being a doer of the word. We could just reason ourselves into some kind of a carnal security where we feel good about who we are and what we're doing, but that is not sufficient. Attendance, punctual attendance, is important, but it is not sufficient. Ritual is a part of our lives. And I'd rather have the habit of going to church and being in Bible study than not have the habit. But I don't want it to just be the ritual, because that is insufficient. It is not enough. It's like you were in college, but you were just auditing the class. I'm not going to get a grade for it, so I go and I listen to the lectures, and that's cool. And then I go on and I don't have to worry about homework and tests and stuff. This is not what we're doing here, all right? You have a mirror in your house. Listen, if you've got God's word, a copy of God's word, whether it's a book or it's digital or whatever it is, that's like a mirror. And we look in the mirror every day to get ready. We look in the Bible every day, right, to be ready, right? Because the blessing here is in the doing. Look what he says at the end. It's not a forgetful hearer, but a doer who works. This person will be blessed in what he does. You see, the blessing is not in the coming and attending and learning and then walking out and not doing it. The blessing is in the doing. That's where the blessing comes from God. That's where he truly blesses our lives and makes us a blessing to others. And so then, if anyone thinks he is religious without controlling his tongue, his religion is useless, and he deceives himself. Pure and undefiled religion before God the Father is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress and keep oneself unstained from the world. In essence, he says, you want to be a doer of the word? Control your tongue. Control the things that you say. And number two, take care of the helpless. Take care of those who need taken care of, right? The widows and the orphans, right? Keep yourself from being stained by the world, from living your life the way the world does. This is what it means. It's not enough to be a hearer. Being a hearer is good, right? You need to be in the room. It's important. But it is insufficient to merely do that. We must be doers of the word. That word must change our thoughts, our attitudes, our actions, our words. Those things have to be different if we're going to truly let God's word make a difference in our lives. And if we want to receive God's blessing and be God's blessing, we have to be doers of the word. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope this has helped as you study, as you prepare. God bless you for teaching. Be sure and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Like the video. If you've got comments, put those in, things that you're learning or things that you see that I didn't point out or questions that you have, and then share it with somebody else, all right? Let them see it as well. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.